Behind every polished press release is a human being who occasionally forgets the cameras are rolling. CEOs spend millions crafting their public image, yet their most revealing moments came completely unscripted. Here are 10 times corporate leaders accidentally said exactly what they were thinking. Subscribe now so you never miss a story this revealing. Number 10. Elon Musk. During a live conversation on X Spaces on August 12, 2024, Donald Trump praised Musk directly, saying, "You're the greatest cutter," before describing Musk's general approach to striking workers in his own words. "They go on strike and you say, 'That's okay, you're all gone.'" Musk said, "Yeah," and laughed. No correction, no corporate pivot, just a laugh, broadcast to millions. The United Auto Workers Union filed unfair labor practice charges against Trump and Musk with the National Labor Relations Board, alleging the two had interfered with workers seeking to exercise their right to unionize. Musk had previously drawn NLRB scrutiny over a May 2018 tweet suggesting Tesla employees would lose stock options if they unionized. A post in NLRB ruling and an initial federal appeals court panel found to be an unlawful implied threat, though a full appeals court later ruled the tweet was constitutionally protected speech. The laugh on that August night was not an isolated moment, it was a pattern. Number 9. Bill McDermott. ServiceNow has achieved some of the fastest organic growth in enterprise software history, more than tripling full-year revenues since McDermott joined in late 2019. That success made his Bloomberg TV appearance in July 2025 all the more striking, because what came out of his mouth needed no commentary. McDermott told Bloomberg's Caroline Hyde that the company was slowing down the hiring in jobs that are, quite frankly, soul-crushing jobs, explaining that the work is now being done by agents who work hard 24/7, you don't have to pay them, and they don't need any lunch and they don't have any healthcare benefits, so they're very affordable. He added that 97% of standard software is now generated by AI, and 80% of customer inquiries are fully managed by AI agents. The words "very affordable" still hang in the air. Number 8. Shishir Mehrotra. The CEO of Superhuman, the parent company of Grammarly, sat down with The Verge's Nilay Patel for the Decoder podcast in March 2026 to discuss the company's AI ambitions, expecting a standard profile piece. What followed was one of the most uncomfortable CEO interviews of the year. The more he spoke about AI agents replacing human roles around him, the clearer his actual priorities became. He described wanting AI to sit beside him in every meeting, saying he wanted his head of sales to sit next to him, his support staff to be an AI advisor, and synthetic judgment delivered in real time. When Patel pressed him repeatedly on whether writers and creators whose work trained these systems deserved compensation, Mehrotra deflected each time, insisting the company's intentions were good. The interview became a textbook case of a CEO accidentally describing humans as the obstacle rather than the customer. Number 7. Eric Schmidt. 3 words. That is all it took. In October 2010, with Google already under scrutiny over its Street View program, Schmidt sat down with CNN's Parker Spitzer for what should have been a routine interview. The question was simple. What should people do if they don't want their homes captured by Google's Street View cameras? His answer was, "You can just move." Schmidt later claimed he clearly misspoke and that he never intended for people to literally relocate to protect their privacy. The damage was already done. The quote became one of the most cited examples of Silicon Valley's casual relationship with personal privacy rights. In 3 words, Schmidt revealed more about Google's internal culture than any shareholder letter ever had. Number 6. Tony Hayward. On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon oil platform exploded in the Gulf of Mexico, killing 11 workers and triggering the largest marine oil spill in United States history. BP's chief executive became the face of the disaster almost immediately. Cameras followed him everywhere. Every word was measured, scrutinized, and replayed. Then, during a media appearance, Hayward said, "There's no one who wants this thing over more than I do. I'd like my life back." Rather than conveying compassion for affected communities and the families of the workers killed, the statement revealed how deeply self-focused his perspective had become under pressure. Photographs then surfaced of Hayward attending a yacht race around the Isle of Wight, while thousands of barrels of oil continued pouring into the Gulf daily. He stepped down as BP's chief executive effective October 1, 2010. Number 5. Steve Ballmer. Microsoft's revenue under Ballmer reached approximately $78 billion annually by the time he stepped down in 2014, and for years he was celebrated as a fearless competitor and ferocious company advocate. That competitive instinct, however, occasionally pushed past confidence and into something far more revealing. In a January 2007 interview just days after Apple unveiled the original iPhone, Ballmer was asked directly about the threat the new device posed. His response was absolute. There's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. No chance. He predicted Apple might capture 2% or 3% at best. The iPhone went on to become one of the highest-grossing consumer products in history. The quote was not spin, it was not strategy. He genuinely believed it, and that belief revealed exactly how Microsoft's leadership saw the competitive landscape. Number 4. Steve Ballmer. A year before the iPhone dismissal, Ballmer gave Fortune magazine an interview in March 2006 that managed to be even more personal. Asked about his children's device preferences at home, he revealed that he had actively forbidden them from using Google or owning an iPod. Then he used a specific word to describe his parenting approach on the matter. He said he had his children brainwashed. His own word, not a paraphrase. At the time, Google was the world's dominant search engine, and the iPod held a dominant share of the digital music player market. Ballmer's statement was not a calculated media talking point. It was an unguarded admission that Microsoft's competitive paranoia had moved entirely beyond the boardroom and into his own household. The Fortune interview remains one of the most quoted examples of a corporate rivalry consuming a CEO's personal life entirely. Number 3. Mark Zuckerberg. April 10, 2018. Zuckerberg appeared before a joint session of the Senate Judiciary and Commerce Committees, facing questions about Facebook's data practices following the Cambridge Analytica scandal, which had exposed the personal data of up to 87 million users. The hearing was watched by tens of millions of people. Senator Dick Durbin asked a quiet, simple question. Would Zuckerberg be comfortable telling the committee which hotel he had stayed in the previous night? Zuckerberg paused, offered an uncomfortable laugh, and said no. Durbin then asked if Zuckerberg would share the names of people he had messaged that week. Zuckerberg declined again. I think that may be what this is all about, Durbin said quietly. Then separately, Senator Orrin Hatch asked how Facebook could sustain a business model where users paid nothing. Zuckerberg replied with a barely concealed smirk, "Senator, we run ads." The CEO of a company built entirely on the personal information of billions of users had, in 2 separate exchanges, made the entire chamber look behind the times. Number 2. John Mackey. Between 1999 and 2006, Whole Foods CEO John Mackey logged onto Yahoo stock market discussion forums under a pseudonym Rahodeb, an anagram of his wife Deborah's name. Under that alias, he spent roughly 8 years attacking rival grocery chain Wild Oats for poor management and slumping revenues, while posting glowing praise for Whole Foods. He even complimented his own haircut in a quarterly report photograph. The alias was exposed during antitrust proceedings following Whole Foods' approximately $565 million acquisition of Wild Oats in 2007. The Federal Trade Commission was investigating the deal, and discovery materials surfaced the Rahodeb posts. Mackey acknowledged the account was his. The Securities and Exchange Commission opened an informal inquiry. For years, the public face of ethical, conscious capitalism had been anonymously trashing his competition and praising his own reflection, and a federal lawsuit finally turned on the lights. Number 1. Stephen Elop. Nokia once controlled nearly 40% of the global mobile phone market. By the time Stephen Elop had been CEO for several years, that figure had collapsed to under 5% as Apple and Samsung redrew the entire competitive landscape. Elop, the Canadian executive brought in to reverse Nokia's decline, became CEO in September 2010 and knew better than most how desperate the situation was. Then, in March 2013, a Finnish talk show host pulled out an iPhone during a live on-air interview. Elop's response was immediate and completely unscripted. He said,
"Oh, wow, how embarrassing.
Reached over, physically grabbed the iPhone and threw it off camera. The clip spread instantly. At the time, Apple held a significant share of the global smartphone market, and Samsung led overall, while Nokia had fallen to the margins. No press release has ever communicated a company's crisis more honestly than that single unscripted throw.